let's rock on. Couple of pearls of wisdom, couple of big general rocks. Let's smash these out really quickly. Number one, hire on attitude, train on skill. Don't get around the other way. Don't look at people's resume. They give you the best version of the truth. Okay, it's wow. What are you going to say? You're crap in a resume. Okay, everyone looks at their experience. Just be very conscious of this, because ultimately, if you've got great systems, you can train on skill. So essentially, because you're training that system, it's the attitude which is the defining quality. Next thing is hire slowly, fire quickly. Really take your time. Don't get desperate for people. When you're desperate, you're in an anxious spirit. That anxiety will actually lead to a bad decision and you will regret it later on. They will do destruction to your business because the enemy is within. It's like a virus and it affects everybody. It's called negativity. It's called pessimism. It's called can't do this. And you're going, what's going on? And you can never leave your business because as soon as you leave the business, the darkness comes back. It's bad stuff. So essentially, take your time. You know, don't just rush. Don't rush. Hey, we haven't got the right person. Let's not employ. And then if you've got to cut quickly. Just cut your losses. Get out. It's not working. Always have a probation period. Drive the probation period really hard. Do reviews during that probation period. Gut says courtship is crappy, marriage is going to be worse. You will see the best in probation. If the best is not good at probation, it's only going to get worse. So, you know, you say, oh, they'll improve. They won't improve. If their attitude is indifferent at the beginning, wow, you've got some real problems as soon as they become permanent because they have security. They even drop their guard even further. And then they try to hit you for Department of Fair Trading. So just be careful of that, guys. Got to do this. Strategy is overrated. Culture is underrated. Culture blows apart strategy every single time. If you do not define your culture, people will bring in theirs. One of the things that I'm passionate about is that you need to articulate your culture, your vision, your purpose, and you need to be proud of it. You need to be a fierce evangelist in your own business. You need to say, this is completely not democratic. It's not a democracy, it's a club. A club has rules. If you don't abide by the rules, get on another bus. You're on the wrong bus. And you say it's non-negotiable. These things are not negotiable. These are our 7 points of culture. And don't do motherhood statements like integrity, honesty, because honesty can mean different things to different people. It comes from your cultural background. If I actually say to certain individuals in certain countries, what does honesty mean? They actually think you can still be corrupt and not get caught with it. It's a very different philosophy that you actually have. So if you're going to articulate culture, you need to actually say, honesty in our business, honesty means the following. Bang, bang, bang. Really specific, really precise. So you do this because you only have to do this once. And when you interview people, guess what you do? You present your culture. And you know what to say to them? Halfway during the interview, you go, please feel free to leave at any time. Because what you're doing is you're actually setting up the precedents to say, this is it. You don't have to like this. If you don't like it, please don't join us because you won't be happy, I won't be happy. Let's just actually have a partnership here. When you become attractive, you attract the right people. The key is, how do I present my attractiveness to the marketplace? You do it through your ads. Your ads are not skill-based, they're attitude-based. Suddenly you go, a guy rings up and says, oh, I've been looking for you all of my life because you've attracted him because you've become attractive. Fantastic. Be proud and promote your culture. Owners need to be cultural communicators, but the owner has to protect the culture. If there is any attempt to actually change the culture, you need to go back into the business and stop it. You need to rip it out. Many organisations classically are founded by people who have great culture. Their vision is beyond money. And guess what happens? They leave, and guess what happens next? the culture is actually ripped apart and destroyed. Classic example is HP. Hewlett-Packard was fundamentally based on a belief by two guys that wanted to change the world. Became incredibly successful, and guess what happened? The corporate people came in. And guess what the corporate people do? They look at share prices, they look at stocks, suddenly it becomes a very different animal. Steve Jobs, success of Steve Jobs was effectively he brought back the culture that was lost. Because what happened in Steve Jobs' case, he was kicked out because they said he is not an acceptable CEO. We need to get a corporate CEO called Scully. Came in there, tried to corporatize the entire business, and they lost their way. And you may remember Apple was on its death knees a number of years ago. I remember I was over at Harvey Norman. They wanted to sell to us. You know what I said to them in my stupidity? You'll be broken one year. Because at that stage, guess what they did? They went to open source. Open source meant that Motorola could actually, there were Mac clones. I don't know if you remember that. You could buy. And they brought out a product called the Newton, which was like this enormous failure. And they were on their knees. They didn't know which way they were going. What happened? Jobs went back in. What did he do? Culture was everything. Culture came before strategy. So be proud and promote your culture. Be unreasonable. Have it displayed everywhere. Every team meeting that you actually have, reinforce what is our culture. What does it mean? Really easy to performance manage people if you've got a great culture. Why? They just have to actually say, are you in line with that culture? Fantastic. Love it. Now, hopefully you can see this slide. Now, this is really important stuff. This is Maslow, hierarchy of needs, which have been a little bit changed. I'm just trying to add some variety here. Every single person that you ever have in your team needs to get its human needs. We have to get our human needs. If we don't get our human needs, we will actually find our human needs in other ways, but we must get our 4 human needs. These are the basic human needs that every single person has got, and you will shake the foundation of people if these needs are not met. And you'll notice that periods of anxiety is when the basis of their human need, the highest human need, is not met. And let's go through them, because essentially, if you want to be brilliant at business, you've got not only to attract staff, you've got to retain staff. And retention of staff is more important than attraction, because the people that you want leave and the people that you don't want stay. And that's weird stuff. And you've got to understand the human needs. And the human needs is not only money, because everyone thinks I'll just give them more money, they'll be happier. But that supports a human need that might have been met. So what are these 4 basic human needs? Remember, if you don't get them at work, you will get them at home, or you will get them while you're entertaining, or you'll get them at sport, or you'll find some way to do it. You can either do it destructively or constructively. They can hurt you or they can harm you. Great organizations right now, like Google, get this shit. They build this into the foundations of their business. This is why they can get great staff, because they understand the human needs, and they don't say, and this is what they do, they work really long hours, these people at Google. They don't think they're working, but they actually are working. Because what Google have done is created an environment where they're productive, but they're getting all their human needs. Now let's talk about what those human needs are, and let me share with you, and I'm going to scream out, you tell me how in a business you deliver this human need, what mechanism, strategy, or tactic. Number 1 human need is our basic human need. Our basic human need is for food, shelter, period. It's called security. Okay? Most basic human need is that. In a business, how do you offer people security? Contract. Yep, great. Any other way? Pay? Yeah, money. You want to freak people out? Take away money. All right? You'll freak them out. If you've ever had staff, you miss a pay run for one particular reason, they actually go from slumber to anger in 1 minute. If you get the pay wrong for some particular reason, because you are changing there. So if you have this philosophy, I'm going to pay them commission only, be careful. You'll freak them out, especially if they're doves. Won't work, because their basic human need is security. How else can I offer you security? Come on, what is some security? Transparency? Yeah. Yeah, communication. Job description, fantastic. Bloody title, fantastic. Business card, security. Induction process, security. Uniform, security. Every one of those streaks of me of security. Right, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create a secure environment. Regular meetings, security. How else? Performance reviews, security. That's security. So what you do is you go through your business and say, what are the devices that we've got security? You might have too much security, because this is like sense of humor of God. As soon as we have security, guess what we want? Exactly the opposite. We get bored shitless. So what's the next human need? The human need of the next one is exactly the opposite of the first one. We then have a need for variety. Weird stuff. Now, question I've got is, how in a business do you create variety, especially in a small business? Come on, how do you give variety to a team member? Yeah, of course, you give them projects, you work on projects. Hey, I'd like you to actually work on this project. It's outside of your scope, but I'm keen to see if you're willing to work with me on this project. You give them a bit of variety. Do a competition. Something you can win. Always works well in variety. Have a bit of fun. Do stuff that they're not expecting. How else? Any other way to give variety? Here's, next time you have an event like this, say, hey, come along with me. My shout. You've done a lot of work. Just give them the experience. This might be, I've been to a lot of seminars, but they've never been to one. They go, oh, wow. That's, take them out to see a supplier. Go on a trip with them. I don't know. So that's variety. Now the next human need is the need for significance. How do I give people significance? Huh? Yeah, praise. What else? Yeah, title. Give them a business card. Yeah, that's fantastic. Give them a car spot. Wow, you got a car spot. Wow. What else? You give them an office. Oh, got an office. Oh, got my own desk. Got my own PC. Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, mobile phone. Give them a job description. Give them an organisational chart where they can see themselves in that particular area. Call them a manager, even though they're managing nothing, but don't worry about it too much. Be careful of the titles. Titles are important to them. Give them multiple layers. How else could you give them significance? Honour their work. Performance appraisal. Honour them at meetings. Congratulations. Celebrate victories openly. Discipline privately. Any other way? Yeah, reward and recognition. So what you've got to do is you've got to have these drivers operating all the time. You've got to actually have do we have these levers going? Next to the 4 human needs. Now these are the 4 basic human needs, and this is when we have our midlife crisis. Okay? Now the next human need is the need for connection. Really important. We are socially orientated animals. If I wanted to get you into depression, I create isolation. We don't do life well alone. If you've ever done it, and if you're a small business owner, the greatest concern that I have is that you need to get yourself involved, if you've come out of corporate, into a community where you are not isolated, because it's very easy if you are a sole entrepreneur to isolate yourself. I've been there. It's not a healthy place to be, because I need other people around me. And I was struggling probably for 1 year, because I had a successful business, but I was actually miserable. Why? I was lonely. You say it's really weird, you're a speaker. Yeah, but speakers in out. So connection's really important. How would you build connection in a business? Do fun events with your team. Make it a permanent fixture that every 3 months we're actually going to have a social event. Just allow time for connection. Allow time for friendship. Allow time for that situation, because realizing that if I don't get it from here, I will get it somewhere else. Now, they may not leave you, but they will get those human needs somewhere else. They're the 4 basic human needs. Many of you have already got those human needs. Many people who are successful reach a point in their life when they get to the top of the mountain and say, is this as good as it gets? And that could lead to breakdowns in relationships. That could lead to the proverbial Harley Davidson. The ability to go into any township and say, I'm a thug. Not really. But essentially, those sort of scenarios. That happens in the midlife crisis. It is a crisis because they actually say, I'm supposed to be happy, but why am I not? These are the 2 higher human needs. Many of you are here because you need to get these human needs. And I actually call them significance. I think the first 4 are success. I think the last 2 are moving your life from success to significance. What are they? It's really weird. The next one is growth. You got to stay attached to the branch. You know, the greatest single times of human progress and of joy in your life is when you're learning new shit. I know in my life it's not mastery. It's actually developing the mastery that brings me the greatest joy. As a business owner, you will probably need to reinvent yourself every 7 to 9 years. Because you'll flatline usually about 9 years, I see. So growth is really important. Growth is important for your leaders. You need to grow them. And the highest human needs, they consider this the highest. All things being possible. This is when you see people give away their money. This is when you see philanthropy at that next level. This is when you see they create foundations. This is when you see they give back to others, not expecting anything back. Because what they're seeking is that they want to know that they've actually made a difference. And it's called legacy. And legacy is really easy. As a leader, it's the greatest joy. It's not telling people what to do. It's helping them to become great disciples. Because the joy is not in who it goes to. The joy is what it does to me. That's legacy. Now, legacy doesn't have to be team members. You know what it can be? Family. It can be, okay, deep down, have I made a difference? Because I have a philosophy, it's just my stupid philosophy. I actually think you die empty. I think you take nothing with you. I think there's a proverbial game that I think the only thing that I do is I leave seeds that may actually help other people. Yeah, the money's cool. I want money. Don't get me wrong. I'm not an idiot. But I think there has to be a higher purpose. And all I ask you to do is start your business with that higher purpose and never compromise. Because the enemy to most businesses is not adversity. It's success. They aim too low and they hit. Be an absolute world changer. Be a world beater. As Stephen Jobs said, make a dent in the world. But I can't. Oh, bullshit. But I'll never get there. Who gives a shit? Doesn't matter. That's what drives us. Okay, so I hope that sort of helps. Do you understand where that sort of goes? To me, what is brutally important is to cover these things first. These are in sequential. So if you can't do this without doing those things. So you've got to make sure, have we got enough security in our business? Yes, we do. Have we enough variety, Especially in small businesses, you need to offer that variety, because if not, they'll look somewhere else to get that variety. Or they'll get it through sport, or they'll go out and party, and they'll, party, and that will give them their variety fix. Significance. They may not get their significance at work, they could get it through sport, because sport actually allows them to become quite significant in certain areas. Connection, got to do that. Then, with those people that have reached that level, you need to actually take them here. They don't know they need that, because it's not realised at this stage. It's what drives so much of us. Okay, now, great exercise to do. We'll do this exercise right now in your booklet. You've got team members. You may do this for yourself too. In your booklet, there is a sheet called the Commitment Competency Staff Review. What I'd like you to do right now, including yourself, because you are a staff member, put down all of the people that work in your business, okay, or associated with your business, like accountants, if you've got an accountant, anyone that you're doing regular work with. Just put them down, as in their names. And before you tick the boxes, I'll frame this up so you actually understand exactly what I mean. Because we're going to go through these 4 team members, and hopefully you'll understand what you'll have to do with them. Once you've written all them down, the question I've got is that in the first 2 boxes, the question is, are they committed or uncommitted? Now, commitment is not a skill thing, it's an attitude thing. Do they give a shit? Do they care? Are they just turning up to do a paycheck? Are they indifferent? So each one of your staff members tick one of those boxes, including yourself, because the issue might be myself. I'm actually not really committed to this business. I'm uncommitted. I'm not willing to burn the bridge. I'm not willing to go all in. If you want to build a great business, you actually have to be addicted and passionate to that business. If you are looking for a lifestyle business, okay, and building a lifestyle business, I've never seen it done. There has to be a passion for what you're doing. It's not called balance. Balance doesn't mean equilibrium. You just got to love what you do. I haven't seen it done any other way. I've seen the journey of many people who are successful. And you know what? Deep down, they love what they do. Next question is a skill question. Are they competent or are they incompetent in what they're doing? Tick one of those boxes. So you've got all your team members. There's one box in committed, uncommitted, and there's one tick in either competent or incompetent. We're going to go through each one of them. I'm going to tell you exactly what I would do with each one of those. They're going to have different words to them, and you're going to go, I've got to do this right now. I've got to get on the phone and sort this shit out. Number 1 person. Has anybody got on their list people who are committed and competent? Yep, who's got them? You got them? Great. All right, this is what I'd like you to do. They are called your stars. They are impossible to replace. Impossible. What we can do is they have enormously broad shoulders and we can overload them because they are so good at what they do And guess what we do when we overload them? They snap. And when they snap, they know how to get work. You won't even know it's coming because they can find work easily. I would strongly suggest that you don't break them with too much work. Praise them. They don't complain. And sometimes we focus on the people that complain and we never praise the ones that need to be praised. Develop them and essentially help get them to help you to build the systems because they know the system. Next one. So they're your stars. Now the next one is has anybody here got any people who are competent, but they seem to be indifferent, uncommitted? Yeah, okay. This are the very dangerous people because this is like, man, they're good at what they do, but they've got a shitty attitude. Okay, they're very dangerous because they're deceptive. They can put it on when they have to put it on. But deep down, you know that they're actually not fully engaged. Their attitude is non-committal, even negative. They block things. Based on all my experience, in the long run, cut your losses, best to exit. It's an attitude issue. It's not a skill issue. The greatest regret you'll do is that you will actually, especially in a small culture, as soon as they leave, the people will actually applaud you publicly for doing it. It's what leadership is about. And the greatest single regret you'll have is you'll say, I should have done it 6 months earlier. They're dangerous because they can hang around so long because you think, I need them. Don't have a system. That's why you need a system. Next one is the happy dog. Anybody got committed people but they're incompetent? It's really simple. This is just a training issue. All it is you just got to train the suckers. You know, they're happy dogs. They just want to know what to do. They're the apprentice, you know, like, hey, Mom, we got to train you. You've thrown them out into the lines and they're getting torn up and everything like that. They're losing their self-worth. They want to do the right thing. They just want to know what the right thing to do. Or you've promoted them past their level of competency. Train them or move them to another department that is not so high pressure for them. Good to have around. So some people have got that. Has anybody got the last one, which is uncommitted, incompetent? Anyone got anyone in there? Okay, well, if you have, that's the phone call that you have next. That would be get rid of ASAP. During probation, if you see the person in probation showing those qualities, I would strongly suggest that you don't continue on after probation. Cool. Okay. Couple of other things just in your workbook, not to do now, but I just felt that it would be a useful exercise. If you go to, there's a checklist assessing potential lack of commitment by staff members. So you would do this potentially for each staff member, and you would ask these questions. Does the staff member have an up-to-date job description? Does the staff member have a complete understanding of the job? Has the staff member been shown? All of these sort of things, and you just sort of write that down to make sure that you're doing the right thing from a leader's perspective. Okay. Now, I wanted to share with you the characteristics of this, which I enjoy, the high-performance team. I wanted to share an observation with you that you need to use an analogy of the best team that I can describe for you is not a business team. I think the best team that you can model your business on is a sporting team. Because a lot of people play sport. It's very easy to communicate the principles of business using sport to anybody. I can teach a 15-year-old about sport. They've played sport, they understand. Your job is to communicate and make the complex things simple, not the simple things complex. And everyone participates in sport, or they like sport. And many of us go to great lengths where we're not paid, it's volunteer-based, and we put a lot of effort into sport. Number one, what's the objective of any sporting game? Win. Okay, so clearly evident to me that if your people don't know how to win the game, how can they play the game? So I have a responsibility, an inherent responsibility to actually show them that they're playing a game. Now, I play monthly games with my teams. I actually say every month is a new game. And every month we have a scorecard. And every month my job is to communicate weekly the progress updates on a quarterly basis, like a team says, how are we going, boss? And they love the shit. Because people like to know that they're winning. It's not a sense of money, it's a sense of accomplishment. But the role of a great leader is to actually show them the score. Not to hide it, to show them, to liberate yourself. Okay, now don't show them net profit. Don't show them ever how much money you make. That's freaky stuff. Because if you start making some real dollars, then they get the shits with you and get counterproductive. So the things that you would normally share, cost of sales. I share gross margin because I think that's important. I won't necessarily share net profit. There are other things that I will share in a regular team meeting. I always have team meetings at the end of each game. So if I'm doing a monthly team meeting, I do it in the first week of the new month because I've actually got to get the scorecard ready. It's non-negotiable. I never change the meeting. They're always turning up saying, how did we go this month, boss? What's the score? Now, what else? Now, if I'm playing a game, a sporting game, every team member knows the length of the game. Same thing. What are the other things about a sporting team? A sporting team has a code of culture, has a code of conduct. If you decide that you are playing sport, and let's say you are playing for the Illawarra Steelers, or whatever they are. Is it Steelers? Are they Steelers? St. George. Dragons, okay, sorry. And you were playing for them. And you decided that you wouldn't turn up to training. Would you potentially get fined? You would. Would the player normally blame the organisation or the sporting team or the coach for that fine? Probably not. They would accept responsibility because the culture says if you don't turn up to training, you don't play the game. There are boundaries. You say, this is the way we play a game. These are non-negotiables. What does a good coach do? Does a coach play the game? The leader is the coach. Now, you could be captain, coach, player. That's where you start. Then you move to captain, coach, and then you move to coach. So you actually migrate yourself away. What does a good coach do? Yeah, game plan. shows them the rules of the game, tells them what they can and can't do, systems, but also recognises their talent and says, gee, Tony, you're a good left back. You should be playing left back. So they work with a talent pool that they've got and realise what their skill set is. They don't try to actually equip them in areas they're not good at. They just get them into their skill set and do it. What are they doing? The dove, eagle, peacock, owl stuff. They're putting them into the right positions. And here's the most spectacular thing that they do. The success of a team is based on the success of the individuals. Every sporting team keeps statistics of the actual players. Every professional sporting team would have personal statistics on each one of the individuals' performances. Their job is not to get them to compete against each other. Their job is to beat their personal best. This happened to me recently. Some time ago, I was in New Zealand. My wife's a pretty articulate individual, academic, number of degrees. And I rang her up because she said, well, you've got to speak to us because you'll be away for a couple of months. I ring up and I speak to Ellie, and Ellie says, Mum can't speak to you at the moment. And I said, why? She's on the Nintendo Wii. And I said, how long has she been on the Nintendo Wii? 3 hours. What is she trying to do? She's trying to beat her personal best. Oh my goodness. What a light bulb moment. Here I was telling to compete against others in a sales environment. It's all crap. I realise if you want to get the best out of people, don't compete against others, because if you've got a superstar, the person that is not a superstar thinks I can never get there and never tries. Just try to get them to beat their personal best. That's all it is. So what are these characteristics? What are these absolute pearls of wisdom that I need to have? Number one, you've got to have a common goal. You might want to write this stuff down. You've got to have a common goal. What? Our common goal is we want to win. You've got to tell the accounts people how they win. You've got to tell the customer service people how they win. They have to see the jigsaw puzzle. They have to see how their bit helps the players win the game. Everyone has a purpose in winning the game. They just win in different areas. This is where your KPIs come from, key performance indicators. What you measure, you manage. What you inspect, you improve. You cannot create a key performance indicator if you can't measure it. You cannot make it subjective. It must be objective. We want you to be friendly. Well, that's not a KPI. What is a KPI is that we send out a customer survey form to every customer and we have to exceed 82%. That I can measure. Number two, you've got to have a winning culture. You've got to be proud and loud. Number three, you've got to have a strong leader. Now, strong is not strength of voice. It is strength of character. It is the integrity of, I will do that walk. I won't ask you to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. It is example. It's not edict. Edict is a baby boomer mentality of I'm the boss. You will not pull that off with a Gen Y or Gen X. Number four, you get 100% involvement. Imagine you're playing football for the St. George Dragons and you go up to the coach and you're about to run onto the field because it's grand final day. And you go up to the coach and say, Coach, I just want to tell you something, mate. I'm only going to give it 60% today. You reckon the coach would be like, yeah, let's go, just 60%, that's okay. You don't go into playing a sporting game without 100% involvement. You want people to be committed. And if you're not committed, piss off. It's just too hard. Number 5, you've got to support your stars. You don't create equality. Do not do a communist or socialist view of workplace. I've never seen it work. You must recognize who provides the value and support your stars. It's the 80-20 rule. 20% of your staff give you 80% of your value. Who are they? Let's support them. Number 6, flat salaries equals flat performance. Yeah. Now you can do it in every division. I've seen it done in production where they're based team bonuses. It's fantastic. So it's not just in sales. I've seen it in accounts departments based on days receivables driving down. Suddenly, people that are mediocre become menacing. Because why? There's something in it for them. You've got to be careful not to overdo it, but it's important to actually have a generous spirit for increases in performance. Not they expect it, but if they reach a certain level, I win, and I want to share some of that with you. Number 7, have a very simple incentive program. Do not complicate something that doesn't need to be complicated. Work with some organisations in corporate, it is almost impossible to understand your bonus structure because they put so many different variables into it. Remember, a 16-year-old has to be able to understand it. One of the great things that Harvey Norman did is we had a very simple commission structure. It was really simple. It was the easiest thing I have ever seen in my life. That every time you sold a product, didn't matter what product it was, they could work out by looking at the sticker the amount of gross profit which is in that, because they could read a code and it was just turned backwards. So if a product had $200 gross profit, it had $200. And what they did is that every time you sold a product, irrespective of what product it was, you got 10% of that. Did it work? Absolutely. Did they do upsell and cross-sell? Absolutely. Did they actually stack it high? Did they sell an extended warranty? Absolutely. Why? Because they figured that I could sell one product or I could sell multiple products. In selling multiple products, I could actually pack this up to make 40 or 50 bucks. So, I don't know if it changes now. I think the internet has changed many things, but sometimes if you said, oh, I'm after a washing machine, they probably wouldn't try to recommend you a Hoover. They might suggest that you need a Smeg or some European brand. Okay, because, okay, they wanted to serve you, but at the same time, it worked. Simple. Now, Good Guys is different. Good Guys used to pay their salespeople 1% of turnover. The problem with that model is, inherently, what do you do first? You discount. Because you look at a product and it's $2,000 and you go, shit, I'm only going to earn 20 bucks. I'll close the deal really simply. I'll match anyone's price. You do it at $1,900 and all you're doing is losing $1. The model is inherently flawed because it's based on turnover. If your business is based on profit, can I ask you to do one thing? Make sure your incentives are actually lined up against profit, not turnover. Because you might get there, but they're two different things. Because turnover is vanity, profit is sanity, cash flow is reality. Number 8, support risk takers. Telling you, give them the space for them to be entrepreneurial. Give them room. Number 9, train them in all areas. Be anal on your training. Train, train, train. Train so much you say they must get it. And then role play. Do adult learning. Don't assume that people know what they're doing by nodding their heads. No idea. Practice makes perfect. You wouldn't fly a jumbo jet without actually going into a simulator first. It'd be horrific. Just take a full load and see what happens. And understand the principle. Training is not a manual. Let's do it. Come on. Bring it out. What? How do you say that? Oh, okay. What's the script? The script's not robotic, just principles. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Make sure everyone has a job description. Make sure they understand the job description. Make sure that you know what their tasks and duties are. Make sure that you ask them to repeat it back to you. Make sure you ask them to sign it. Make sure they completely understand what is meant by that job description. If you don't have just job descriptions or it's changed, go back and re-engage with them. With job descriptions have also key performance indicators, how they'll be measured. And I would strongly suggest, based on many years of experience, as soon as you lock this down, put into their diary right then and there when you issue the job description, their first performance review. Do it in advance. They know it's coming. They go, oh shit. Because here's what happens in most organizations. They start really well, but there's no follow-up. And they fall down on follow-up. They don't do the things that they need to do on a regular basis to form habits. They do the first review, and after that, it's just, oh, we haven't done a review. Oh, we'll get to it. So it just goes nowhere. And really easy in a small business. And number 11, you've got to hire passionate people. And last, but certainly not least, is that you've got to make your business, irrespective of size, it's got nothing to do with size. It's got everything to do with how do I make my business attractive. It's not about pay. A lot of people aren't looking for pay. They're looking for other things that they can't get in the bigger end of town. The bigger end of town can be really brutal. It's impersonal. It can be very results driven. It loses its, I don't know, connection. Let's not talk on that. Okay, now, I want you to sort of realize that how we react to change. Your business is about, in many ways, developing team members. And in this journey of retransforming your business, you're going to have to be brilliant at change management. Anytime that you introduce a new computer system, you're not introducing a computer system, you're introducing change management. You will get enormous amounts of kickback. I will absolutely tell you exactly what will happen if you don't go through this journey correctly, because people always revert back to the old ways of doing things. So here is the key, and we've got a little section there called the 7 predictable reactions to change. What is the first reaction that we have? Number 1, we become uncomfortable and self-conscious. So that's the first reaction. I'm uncomfortable and self-conscious. I'm out of my comfort zone. Number 2 reaction to change is that they will think about what they have to give up. A la, more additional work, I have to stay back, this is going to be too difficult. Number 3, they will feel alone. That is a doozy. You've got to support them during this change management. If you need a help, let us know. Put up your hand. How's it all going? Sometimes they actually don't seek your help because there's pride and ego going. They think you'll feel less of them. You've got to give them a safe environment where it's okay not to know this straight away. We're all at different levels of change. Some people embrace it. They enjoy it. Many of you love change because the natural gift of an entrepreneur is that we get bored. Number 5, we can only handle so much. Now, if you go back and you try to change everything, Oh, you got to slow it down. Mate, you're doing too much. You're going to kill these guys. You're going to freak them out. You're trying to change everything. Change one thing at a time, build the muscle, change another thing first. Work on a project basis. I personally believe you can't do more than 5 projects at one time. You got to make sure you have the resources to do the change. Because you're upgrading the engine, and the difficulty in a small business, you don't have lots of cash. So, and the last one is we can revert back to when the pressure is off. But if you get really anal for 3 months, you're fine. You just got to get through that 3 months. Every time I've had to introduce a computer system into an organization, which we had to in Laser, we did 240 members' businesses where we changed the operational system from our own proprietary system to a system called Simpro. We knew that it wasn't about the computer system. We knew it was about change management. And straight away it became obvious that our business was about changing, getting the guys to use it. And the first reaction was, it's shit. Why? We are creatures of habit. And all I had to do, and right now you can ring up any Laser member because they've had it for 12 months and they think the software is the best software they've ever had. Okay, now 5 steps to change, which is really simple. And this is, write this stuff down. This will be good stuff. I've already talked a little about this. Number 1 is awareness. When do I change? When I'm aware. Okay, your job is to make them aware of the need to change. Now, sometimes you have to be brutal in this area. Sometimes it is a very candid, open conversation, guys. We cannot continue to operate this way, okay? And if we continue to operate this way, there will have to be personnel changes. Sometimes you have to lay it on the line. You have to realize that this is a business that needs to make profits. And if we don't make profits, then essentially we can't support everybody here. And you'll be amazed how they work as a team when they're under attack. Remember, it's flee, freeze, fight. You need to move them into the fight zone. Number 2, acceptance is the next situation. Awareness there is a problem, accepting that, yes, that is a problem. In my weight journey, the acceptance was, the awareness was, you have put on a bit of weight. My wife kept on telling me, you've put on some weight. No, I haven't. No, I haven't. I haven't put on weight. The acceptance is when I didn't hear it from my wife. The acceptance was, yeah, I put on some weight. Next thing is action. You want to get people to change? They've got to take action. This is where you actually have to write down, what are we going to do about it? This is what great coaching is about. Number 4 is accountability. And number 5 is acknowledgement. Number 4 is an action plan for them, where we meet regularly. We're going to work on this. It's called a personal development plan. Number 4 is accountability. And number 5 is acknowledgement, where, you know what? They were right to begin with. I hope that has helped you on the whole principles of team. I am a firm believer about performance-driven teams. I don't believe that you can build an awesome business without having a great team. I think the role of any business owner is to be a great leader. And in being a great leader, and I'll just finish off with this. This is stuff that I think great leaders do. Number 1, I think they consistently challenge the process. They challenge the system. They ask, what if? They ask the right questions. Near enough is not good enough for them. Number 2 thing that they do is they push boundaries, of course. They model the way. They lead by example. They do modeling. They inspire a shared vision. It's not their vision, it's a shared vision, and they continue to communicate that shared vision to the team. Number 4, this is big, this is team. They enable others to act. They enablers, they're great enablers. They train, they coach, they release. Train, coach, release. First principle of management when you start is you direct. 4 stages of management are really simple. The first thing you will normally do is direct. Direct is very controlling. It's necessary when you've got first team members. Many of us never actually get out of that. We always do that all the time. Next principle is that you move to a coaching modality. Next principle is after you've coached them, and coach them is, I'll work with you on it. I won't do it for you, but we'll coach you through it, is you support them. Support them is the door's always open. If you need my help, just call out. Not so much coaching anymore. And the last level of management is you delegate. Here's what you could do. You do that for too long, you're always directing. Can't build it because I'm it. I'm always directing, I'm always directing, I'm always directing. Could be reasons why you're doing that. The other alternative is that you delegate too early. It's not delegation, it's called abdication. Number 5 is you encourage the heart. You speak in a love language that doesn't appeal to their head. You actually give them a sense that they're actually making a bloody difference. In their own way, what I can see about people is that people just want to know that they're actually making a difference. So that will sort of finish it off. Guys, it would be remiss of me not to discuss how I can potentially assist you. The question is, a question was asked by someone, do I do coaching? Yes, I do. I don't do a lot of coaching because I don't have a lot of time, but I do coaching. My coaching is very deep. I do not do the motherhood statements of this is what you've actually got to do. I actually work with you in the business because I'm an eagle and I like getting my hands dirty. So that's how I get involved, and I get involved selectively, and I work not only with the owners, I actually work with the teams because I'm really good with people, and I get that, and I'm a trainer as opposed to a coach. So I have this combination thing going on where I can actually work with the owner, but I can actually work with the teams. So if that excites you, just let me know, and I'll have a chat to you, and we've certainly got some ideas of how we can actually do that. The thing that you can do is that you can buy a stack load of products. Now, I'm just going to, look, I'm not going to spend too much, but I'd like to sort of let you know what I've got. There is a bit of a pack. This here is our biggest pack. It's 20 CDs, a 350-page workbook, and it's 10 DVDs. It's over 60 hours of material. It goes through every topic of business that we teach on, which is principles of achievement, which is the mindset of the business owner and team members, vision of the future, which is vision, purpose, culture, and goals, show me the money, which is cash flow, systemizing your business, building a championship team, customer service, marketing, selling, negotiation, and business success in 90 days. That plus that, which is the Best of Achievers group, which is 4 CDs on the same topics, but they're interviews that we've done on radio. Plus the Business Wisdom series, which is 3 CDs. Plus, we've written a few books. One is called Business Success. The other one is called Marketing Success. Those books. Plus those books on CDs that if you're not a book reader, you want to listen to them. Plus Peter Irvine's book, who works with me, called Your Business, Your Life. plus the 2 books that we're featured in, which is called Secrets of Top Sales Professionals Exposed, plus Marketing Experts Exposed. Look, if you were to look at our website, and please do, if you looked at all of those products, they would be $1,395. For you, my friend, if you want to purchase that absolutely free of charge from a freight perspective, you would be able to get all of that for today at $397 delivered to you. If that excites you, take one of those. It says $497. Just change it to $397. Give it back to me, and you'll get it shipped within 7 days and knock yourself out. As I finish, wanted to say thank you to Stephen for inviting me back once again. It really does remind me of a great little story that I like to share occasionally about a bloke. And this bloke, one day, he wanted to try to sort of change the world. And, and he did. He tried to change the world, and he realised, oh, my goodness me, isn't the world a big place? Isn't the world a big place? And he couldn't change the world. So he said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to try to change the country. And, he tried to change the country. He tried really hard, really, really hard. But every time he tried to change the country, crooked politicians thwarted his every effort. Then he said, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to change my community. I'm going to change my neighbourhood. And every time he did that, it's like all his neighbours said, leave us alone, you madman. And then he said, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to change my family. I'm going to get them to change. And he went to his wife, and his wife said, I'm going to divorce you. You've gone nuts. And his kids threatened to leave the house. And then one day, this man decided to change himself. And when he did that, he changed his world. Biggest lesson I can give you, success is an inside job. The business is always a reflection of the owner. As the owner gets better, the business gets better. I ask you implicitly to be open, transparent, and vulnerable, and to celebrate your weaknesses, because that's when you'll be set free. In all my experience, if you can just be totally honest with people, ask for help when you need help, and really get them to you'll be amazed at what you can achieve. So I wanted to say thank you very much. If you want some of that product, please buy it. And certainly it has been my absolute pleasure to serve you once again.
Wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, how about a standing ovation for Tony? That'd be awesome. Thank you, mate. Always, what a great job. Thank you very much, mate. Tony flew in this morning. Actually, you flew in yesterday, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah, but it's got to race off now. So it's a really massive effort for Tony to drive down here. Flew in yesterday, driving back, sort of got to race to the airport now. So it was a massive effort, and we are so grateful. So thank you, Tony Gattari.